Have you ever taken a moment to wonder about that voice in your head that keeps commenting, criticizing, and judging all the time, telling you what to do or sometimes even what not to do? We have it with us all the time, so much so that we think it's actually us. But what if I told you that inner dialogue, that constant narrative, isn't really you at all? Think about this. The moment you wake up, your mind never stops chattering. Wake up, you have a lot on your plate today. Why in the world did I say that yesterday? I should have worked harder. It's a constant inner monologue, a background hum that, though we mostly ignore it, never really goes away. But have you ever asked yourself who's listening? If you're the one speaking, then who in turn is the one listening? I have a spooky request. Close your eyes for a while and imagine there are no words in your head, no thoughts, no judgments, no words. There is you in that pure space, no mental noise. Who are you then? And where is that internal chatter, which seems to have so much control over your life? There's something very few human beings want to face. That voice, that ongoing dialogue inside one's head, is not the essence of what we really are. It's just an echo, a construct, a reflection of years of experiences, fears, and expectations. But we, the ones behind it all, are something much deeper, much more mysterious. As Carl Jung said, the eye cannot see itself. Consciousness is the same. It can only be understood in relation to the other. This reflection reveals a fundamental truth about our nature and our minds. Now hear this. What is it that really bothers you when you get anxious? Not an event, but the mind's interpretation. A voice blowing the consequences out of proportion. This is going to be a disaster. And here's the terrifying epiphany. That voice doesn't want to help you. It wants to keep you in line. It is the lens through which you look at life, and most of the time, the lens is dirty. Here's what amazes me. Neuroscientists found that most of our thinking is not conscious, but automatic. It's as if our mind runs on a program, repeating patterns and beliefs in the background that we haven't consciously decided on. So chatter is a habit and not our true self. But even more unsettling, that inner dialogue can be your worst enemy or your most powerful ally, all depending on whether you choose to identify with it. In this regard, the real trap is believing that this voice is all that you are when you are, in truth, much more. You are the observer, the silent witness of the constant chatter. Think of when you've really suffered. Doesn't most of the pain and suffering really come from the thoughts that arose? Thoughts like, this will never get better, or I am not enough? Self-talk creates stories, and those stories shape your vision of the world and your vision of yourself. There are ancient cultures that have understood this secret for centuries. In Buddhism, for example, it's believed that suffering arises from attachment to those thoughts. Meditation, an ancient practice, is nothing but the practice of witnessing that internal chit-chat and learning how not to identify with it. Because in that moment, when you no longer react to every thought that appears, you are free. Do you want me to tell you a story about David? He seemed to have everything: a good job, friends, family that loved him. But every night, when David lay down to sleep, that voice would creep in, whisper to him about all his insecurities, remind him of all his failings. You are not enough, it said. You never will be. David believed it. This voice controlled him. It held him in an endless cycle of doubt and self-criticism, stealing all peace from him. Then one day, David decided he couldn't live like that anymore. He started researching, asking questions, and that was when he found something that changed everything. That he wasn't that voice. He became aware that this kind of self-talk was like a computer program running on autopilot, fueled by years of limiting beliefs and experiences. But as he became aware of this, something changed within him. He started observing the voice instead of reacting to it, and with time, the voice started losing its power. This isn't just David's case. We all have an inner voice which can present itself as the greatest critic or the best ally. The point is how to distance yourself from it. Because the more room it's given, the less room there is for your true self, the one at peace, the one that knows what's right without being told. Now let's do an exercise together. The next time your mind gets caught in negative thoughts, try just stopping. Don't make them right. Don't make them wrong. Just watch those thoughts, like spectators watching a movie. Ask yourself, where does this thought come from? Is it really mine, or is it just an echo from the past? What you'll discover could be surprising. Most of the time, those thoughts don't even make sense. They're like leaves being blown by the wind, useless, transitory. The key to becoming free of this inner talking isn't to fight it, but to stop identifying with it. And it's this realization of separation, of stepping away from that voice, through which you come to know that you are so much more than your thoughts. You are the space in which those thoughts appear, and within that space exists freedom. Think of it this way: if that were you, you wouldn't be able to observe it. You wouldn't be able to question it. But you can, can't you? That right there is absolute proof that you are the observer, not the observed. And all it takes is that simple shift in perspective to change your life. So who are you actually? This is the question leading us here. And now, with this journey through the shadows of your own mind, I hope you've started to realize something so fundamental. You are not that chatter. You are so much more than this voice telling you who you should be, what you did wrong, or what you should be afraid of. You are the space from which that voice emerges, the silent observer, beneath the constant clatter, always there, present. Now imagine for a second what your life would be like if you were to live without letting that voice control your emotions, your decisions, your life. Do you realize the weight that could lift? It wouldn't be the end of your thoughts, for thinking is natural, but it would be the end of the control those thoughts have over you. I hope you'll take one thing away with you. You don't need to believe what you think, for you are certainly not the sum of your thoughts. You are the consciousness that watches, and that consciousness is free, always was, just waiting for you to realize it. From now on, every time that voice inside you tries to tell you something that makes you feel insecure, awakens your fears, and makes you feel very small, stop, breathe, and say out loud, I am not that voice, I am who listens to it. For this very simple act of distancing will return to you a power that you may not have noticed you lost. Self-talk is like a narrator in a book. It can tell the story of your life in so many ways, make everything seem like a tragic drama or an epic adventure. But you are the author. You decide if you let that voice enslave you or if you take charge of the narrative. So, I'd like to invite you to do this. Every time a negative thought comes to you, just stand up, smile, and say, thank you for your opinion, but I don't need it. This one simple sentence might be the key to mentally freeing yourself. If this journey made you feel something, made you reflect on something, or at least raised a question about something you thought you knew before, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell so you don't miss the new videos. If you'd like, you can now leave in the comments your answer to this question that concerns me. If that voice is not you, then who are you really? This is a space for knowledge seekers, a community much like yourselves delving into the deepest corners of the human mind. Remember, the chasm of your thoughts is not who you are. It's what you can choose to live at the edge of or step away from into freedom. See you in the next video.